Have you been away from your dissertation so long and not sure how to pick it back up? And have you just gotten discouraged by how long the dissertation process has taken you to, and you just need the motivation and encouragement to get started? If so, this episode of From ABD to PhD show is from you. This is our fourth and final installment of the Dear Dr. Going series. And in this Dear Dr. Going series, we take questions from doctoral students around things they're experiencing as part of their journey, and I provide some insight and strategy on how to solve that particular problem. And for those who tuning in, my name is Dr. Ramon Goings. I am founder of Done Dissertation, and our goal at Done Dissertation is to demystify the dissertation process so that doctoral students can write and defend a dissertation in 1 year or less. This episode is really important because a lot of folks have spent time away from their dissertation. For you, it might be 6 months, folks might be 12 months. And I want to get into some insight and things to consider when you have experienced not being around your document for a while. And so I want to share with you the note that we got from the student, and then I'll talk more about the strategy here. But before we get into it, if you are someone who needs help and needs support and you want to have a way to get through this process with the least amount of headache, I would invite you to apply to the Done Dissertation Velocity Coaching Program. You can learn more about our program at www.velocitydissertation.com, or you can scan the QR code that is here on your screen. Our goal is to help speed you through this process by giving you more hands-on support and give you that structure you need in community so that you can finish this process quickly. But now let's get into our situation for today in the letter that we received. So it says, Dear Dr. Goings, I am writing this to you as a last attempt to gain traction on my dissertation. I am stuck at my breaking point and I want to give up, but I have invested so much time and effort so far, it's hard to just throw in the towel. My confidence is at the lowest it has been, and I really wonder if I'm cut out to get my dissertation done. It's safe to say the imposter syndrome is definitely at play. I don't have the drive like I used to, and it seems like such a huge undertaking to just open my laptop. How do I rebuild my confidence so that I can re engage in my process and start working on my dissertation again? Thanks, Kevin. So, Kevin, I want to say thank you so much for submitting um, this note. I think this is really important to consider because there are a lot of folks just like you who have experienced some setbacks and been away from the document for so long. Like we get a number of clients who take pauses where they're taking care of relatives. Some have health challenges themselves. I remember even at the height in 2020 of COVID, I had a client who was a nurse and literally got COVID it was like around late April 2020 and was out for about a year recovering and then came back to the dissertation. So we understand that those types of things happen. So I want you to recognize that first, that it's okay when these things go on as part of your journey, but it doesn't have to be how things end up for you. So I do want to be mindful when we think about that. So when we're going through this journey, we gotta be considering, and I'm thinking about your letter, we have to consider a couple of these pieces. One is around confidence. Two is around, you talk about imposter syndrome, Kevin, and then you say I don't have the drive like I used to. It seems like a huge undertaking, and so I want to give some thoughts on that and how to think through, just engaging and figuring out how to respond and move when it feels like you can't move at all. So when we think about the question around confidence, here's what I've learned. First things first, when we get to the root of it, I always just say imperfect action is better than no action at all. Here's why. A lot of dissertation writers, what they will do is say, hey, I'm not going to sit down and open my laptop until, I've looked up all the literature, until I've, downloaded all the articles and read everything I needed to read. I'm not going to write until then. Here's what's happening. That trying to be perfect and have everything done is what's causing you to have the headache in this process. Being imperfect might be, I'm going to start writing and even just my writing process today might be outlining a chapter. Then I can see, what are the holes? What can I write right now without the aid of any other literature I can get done right now? Doing that will allow you might say, there's like 3 sections I can write right now based on what I have, and then I'll come back later on to add to those other ones. It's that imperfect action that is what gets people done, and what it allows you to improve. Because when I look at the root of it, for me, when I try to build my confidence back up when I've been away from a writing project for a while, the first thing I do is, outline and then look at, all right, what are things that are the easiest lift for me? And I try to get the easy wins. I'm just selfish like that. I'm trying to get these easy wins. So I can say, all right, I got that done. Check. I like to get things checked off of my box. And I know you probably do as well, right? Kevin. And so that's something to consider first. Now, what I want to suggest is that, and some thoughts around confidence. When people talk to me about the confidence, what I find is that confidence grows at the rate of your imperfect action. Because how confidence kind of manifests is through when you start to take action and you get some type of response back, it starts to push you to engage in more action. And then the more action you do, more responses you get. And then if it's action and you start getting positive responses, you start to say, all right, I'm going to do that. And even the cases when you start making imperfect action, you get negative responses. Let's say your chair gave you negative feedback, Kevin, on something that you did. All this is a learning process, a learning experience. So let's say, for instance, they said, oh, well, you need to be more in depth on your theoretical framework. That's cool. That just lets you know what you need to do. And you knowing what you need to do gives you the clarity to move this thing forward. And by moving this thing forward and having clarity, that confidence builds. But the first step is like kind of like, does the chicken or the hen, what comes first, chicken or the egg type of thing? I would say the action comes first. You got to just start acting, and then the confidence build as you act and you submit. You do a little bit of writing, because I promise you, even if you've been away from your document so long, I bet you can go to your dissertation right now, pick it up, go to one of the sections, and just read and maybe add a sentence or two. That's action, right? And then from there, you might say, oh, I need to add this and I need to work through that. You start to figure out, and it starts to click, but you got to get into it. It's just like working out. For folks, you might hate working out, but it's in trying to lose weight, right? So, last year I was, on a journey to lose weight, for instance. And what started first was not the weight coming off, but what started out was just like, all right, today I'm going to take one step and actually get on my Peloton and ride for 30 minutes while I play Madden. So that's what I do. That's my downtime. Anybody knows me, like at night, I sit on the Peloton, I ride my bike, and I play Madden. That's just the thing I could do to decompress and enjoy life, right? And so that's the first step. And then as you start to engage in the action of doing the workout, you might notice doing it a couple days in a row, you might see a pound come off, right? Or, something happen. And then what happens, like, oh, maybe I need to do this plus the eating. And then I eat right. And then it translates. So these things translate. And so I think it's first things first is that, again, confidence grows at the rate of your imperfect action. And then, Kevin, I always will say, if people think this, sometimes people think confidence is a reflection of your ability. I actually would argue differently. I think rather than confidence being a reflection of your ability, confidence is really a result of your effort. So the more effort you put in, you're going to get something responses back. And the more responses you get, the more confident you can become in what you're doing. The more confident in what you're doing, the more likely you are to do it. And then this cycle happens. And I just talked to one of my doc students. Shout out to Michael. Michael, if you're watching this, you know I'm talking about you. Because I mentioned it during our conversation. Michael he recently finished data collection, and we were talking about his dissertation the other day. And I told him, I said, Michael, I see the switch that happened for you. And with the switches, I mean, I see it in our clients and I see it in my own doctoral students that they make this shift is once that confidence hits and they start to see like, oh, I'm doing this thing. I'm moving. Next thing you know, that fast, the process starts to move quickly. Like he literally collected and he interviewed, oh my God, I think 35 individuals for a study within like a month's time, like moving at rapid pace. And now he's seeing like, oh my God, I got all this data. And we were talking about his data sample because he has so much data. And I said, actually, the first thing you want to do is just read through it and read through everything. That's your first step, because from that imperfect action of just reading, you will start to piece together, all right, what's the story you got to tell? But you got to start somewhere. You won't have it all mapped out. It happens piece by piece. So I just want you to recognize, Kevin, like this is a part of the journey. And I shared my student, Michael, and my own journey, weight loss and stuff like that and working out as like this applies throughout life. It's not just about your dissertation. Just want to give different examples. Some may resonate differently. And then, one of the things I talk about, I want to bring back up your note, right, is that, and before I get to the next point I want to make, if any of this is resonating with folks, please let me know in the comments. And if you're watching us on YouTube, please hit the like and subscribe button, because we found that over 90% of folks who watch our content on YouTube are not subscribed to us. So if you can do us a favor and subscribe and hit the notification bell, you will know when new episodes of our from ABD to PhD show come out, as well as our Done Dissertation Pro Tip and other content that we have on our YouTube channel. And then if you're watching us on LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever, make sure you hit the follow button so that we can stay in contact with you all. One of the things you talked about confidence. I wanted to address that first. And then the second part, rebuilding your confidence. So again, imperfect action will do that. And then how do you just re-engage? And you might be wondering if imposter syndrome is happening. Again, I always tie imposter syndrome to how much work you've been doing, because it's, we all have this instance of imposter syndrome, right? I went through this journey, when I was a student. I thought I had it together. And then shout out to Dr. Shockley, one of my professors at Morgan State at the time, was like, nope, this is not good. I need for you to go seek a writing coach or editor in order to improve, and come back to me when you got this figured out. And so at that point, my confidence was definitely shattered. I thought, man, maybe I'm an imposter. This doctoral stuff may not be for me. And I had two options at that time, Kevin. Or three options, I should say. I could either go get the writing coach, which was an option. I could quit and leave the doctoral program, or I could figure it out myself. And so, I'm an athlete, I'm competitive. I just said, I'm going to figure this thing out myself. And what I did, and this is why when we get at imposter syndrome, sometimes about how much efforts have you given at the same thing over and over again in order to develop the skill. So what I needed to do, and it took me a year and a half to about 2 years to do this, but I read a journal article every day. And with that, I just read, in my field was in education, but I read in anthropology, engineering, psychology. I read because I wanted to understand how these writers think and how are they putting these articles together. What is the style they're writing? What are the words that they're using? So I literally had a vocabulary sheet of words. I remember one of the words that I used for the first time, I never saw it until I read an academic journal article, was posit, P-O-S-I-T. And I'm like, what? Why are they using this? I looked up in the dictionary, and then I said, oh, okay, let me incorporate this into my work. Those things start to happen. So once you, engage more and more efforts at this thing, get more and more feedback, and not be afraid of the feedback, that imposter syndrome starts to go away, and you start to build the confidence up. And trust me, all throughout life, as I've been in other arenas, going into business, like doing the stuff I've done Dissertation, there was some imposter syndrome, because in my mind, when I think about business, I think about corporations like a Walmart or like a Target. I think about small business and things like what we're doing, service-based business, and how to grow and scale that. That was something brand new. I had to go into coaching programs like you all are in doctoral programs. I went to business coaching programs in order to learn how to put these things together. I had no idea about some of the aspects around sales and marketing and all these terminologies and, call to actions and some of the business terminologies and KPIs, like all that stuff made no sense to me. But once I started putting in more effort, that imposter syndrome as a business owner started to go away. So that's just an example I want to give to you, Kevin, as a way to think through this. So if you're trying to figure out how to pick back up your document, first things first is you have to make a commitment that you're going to do it. So my suggestion to you, and if you are watching this episode and you're a student that has been away from your document for a while, here's what I want you to do. You could do it right now while I'm talking, or you could do it even after this episode is over. Pick up that laptop, open up your document, and read 5 pages of something that you've written on there. That's the first. That was the imperfect action we're just going to read today. Then tomorrow you might come back, and what I want you to do when you read, you say, all right, what can I add to this section when I come back to it tomorrow? That's going to get the motors running. And then from there, you'll speed through this thing. You'll really realize how to accelerate your process and pick this thing back up and re-engage with your dissertation. So again, and just as a reminder, in order to build your confidence, remember, confidence is not a reflection of your ability. Confidence is a result of your effort. And then confidence grows, like the rate at which your confidence will grow is at the rate of you taking imperfect action. Take more imperfect action, your confidence will grow. And then lastly, if you are in the position where, I need the confidence, but I need some structure and support, this is why we created a Done Dissertation Velocity coaching program for you. So if you are interested in getting that support, being in a community with people who are trying to do the same thing, we would invite you to apply to work with us. You can learn more about our program at www.velocitydissertation.com, or you can pause and scan the QR code that is here on your screen. With that said, I hope these Dear Dr. Going series has been helpful. If you want us to continue this, shoot us a message. Let us know. We just wanted to provide, doctoral students who had challenges with a way for us to actually provide insight, but then also we wanted to, be responsive to the things that you all are going through. We know that this particular one that was sent about confidence and picking back up a document is really important. But again, don't let so much more time pass with you not finishing and you not putting the effort to get this thing done. So if you're looking to get this thing done, you've made a commitment that you're going to pick your document back up and do it, then I would invite you to apply to work with us at the Velocity Coaching Program. And you also made a commitment that I'm willing to invest resources in order to do so, because it's going to take resources. And that, I always say, is time, energy, and some type of financial resource to move this process forward. Whether you work with us or do work with someone else, you're going to need these things in place. So if you're willing to, make the commitment to yourself that you're going to get this thing done, you want to be in community with like-minded scholars, and you're willing to make an investment in yourself, then we are the place for you. So I would invite you to apply to work with us at www.velocitydissertation.com. Again, if this is resonating with any of you all, please let us know in the comments. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit the like and the subscribe button and notification bell, because again, over 90% of folks who watch us on YouTube are currently not subscribed. So make sure you do so. If you're watching us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, make sure that you follow us on those platforms. And then you can do me a huge favor. This is even more important. Share this video with 3 people that you know that it can provide value to. So if you know someone who's struggling, who hasn't been at their document for a while, this is the episode that you need to send to them. And with that said, I want to say thank you so much for watching this episode from ABD to PhD Show. I'm Dr. Mo Goings, founder of Done Dissertation. And until next time, I wish you all well, a great week, and a done dissertation.